afraid people might turn it off thinking it's something else before they get too far into it. Oh, hey, hi, it's me. Well, the thing you do, don't adjust just that. Here's what's happened in a nutshell. My computer died. Ooh, but guess what? Got a computer in my hand. Shut your face, I don't mean that dirty. I mean my phone. So, this week's episode, and subsequently probably everything from here on in, is going to be filmed and edited on my Samsung S9 Plus, I'm just saying. So, that said, I hope you don't mind the rebranding. I'm certainly enjoying it. And I think it's time to start the show. So, Jorge, drink me. Ooh, look at you making a fabulous creamy martini. You know that was my drag queen name in high school? It was. All right, so this week's cocktail is the spicy cake. This tutorial, the recipe's down below, the link to Patreon's down below. This is super easy. It's rum chata, Bailey's pumpkin spice, and a little limoncello, shaka, stemware, delish. Oh my God, it totally tastes like cake. It totally tastes like cake. I think that all my cocktails from now on in should taste like cake. So, we started the episode off by saying goodbye to, well, no one. Nobody got sent home. But I'll tell you, Evie and Brooklyn certainly did take a moment or two to lick their wounds and reflect. I mean, certainly, I don't think either of them thought they would have gone home themselves, but they were both so good. Well, finally, we saw Evie lip sync. Finally, we saw Brooklyn lip sync. And if the rest of those queens aren't worried if they ever have to go up against either of these queens, well, they're idiots. Let's just say it. Speaking of idiots, Silky was feeling all kinds of confident after last week's mini challenge and main challenge win. And that puts her up to 2 wins along with Brooklyn Heights. They're the front runners right now. I can understand how she thinks that she's doing a good job and doesn't need to tweak anything. Although the other queens were a little shocked to hear her say that she wouldn't do anything differently in light of the judges' critiques. She brought certain drag, she's going to wear certain drag. And if she's going to be wrong, she's going to be committedly wrong. Well, committed, certainly. I mean, once she started preaching about the devil's footstool, I started to worry. I thought maybe her veneer was starting to crack, or maybe, I don't know. But I think she's starting to hear voices like Joan of Arc. So, the next day in the workroom, RuPaul showed up right away with this week's mini challenge, which of course was the library being open, because reading is what? Fundamental. Oh, I just love this, and I hope that you like my glasses, although they didn't come from Bruno's sexy tray of glasses. Gotta get me one of those trays. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the queens had to read each other. I have to say, I love this challenge because I don't think I would be good at it. It's one thing to be shady, it's another to read a queen. Even if I had time to write the night before, I don't know if I would do much better than some of these girls. For example, Nina, poor thing, had to explain everything. Seriously, I'm just going to say this about Nina and her reading. In a room full of fierce queens, even Akira had a better clapback for her. She sucked. Nina sucked hard. But for a white girl from Ohio, I thought she did pretty good, I'm just saying, seriously. Plastic Tiara didn't seem to do too badly, but she still only did get 1 edit cut, which means she could have been a whole lot worse than she came off, I'm just saying. Vanjie was a shock, I'm so serious. I mean, I would have put money down that she would have won this challenge. I would have put money down that Vanjie would have been one of the girls that would have had no trouble reading the other queens for Phil. It was a surprising state of affairs for me to see Vanjie keep saying that she took a hard left. She took a hard right, too. She split both ways. That's why it sucked. Evie did all right, but who didn't think she would? Seriously. You can't be that critical without knowing how to throw shade, I'm just saying. I also felt that Shug was another one of those queens who got clapped back better than the shade she was throwing, poor sweet thing. Brooklyn surprised the heck out of me, not because I didn't think she could read, because let's just all take a minute to remember that the most cutting bitches out there are ballerinas. They will cut you hard. So I knew Brooklyn would be all right. But I just thought as a nice, quiet, polite Canadian that she would probably not do as well as she did, but she totally did. Oh, that whole Vanjie thing, kissing her to shut her up. I mean, I think that's the first time anybody's had a kiss the fuck up. It's been a long time since I've kissed the fuck up. Akiria was another one who did well, but I have to say, I thought that her clapbacks were better than her shade throwing, too, which wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst. The worst, Taki Ganache. Taki Ganache was the absolute worst this week. Another one I would have bet money on to kill this challenge. But instead of actually being funny, she just kept getting louder and louder. Every time she got louder, it seemed that Vanjie was her own personal Flava Flav, hyping it up, screaming it out to the side. So between the two of them, I don't know if I had tinnitus or was just getting a headache. And a lot of what she'd written was rhyming cute little things. I think that Ru calling her Dr. Ganache has confused her, and she's thinking now that she's Dr. Seuss, I'm just saying. Taki's best read was an off-the-cuff clapback at Brooklyn Heights calling her an 80s porn star. Funniest thing she said all afternoon. I'm so serious. So, when the library was closed, it was very clear that Brooklyn Heights was this week's winner, God bless her, and it was a good week for her to win, because she got to pick the teams for the main challenge, which was an improv challenge. So you know she was already starting to throw up into her toe shoes. I'm just saying. And what was the main challenge? LADP, Los Angeles Drag Patrol. Right away, Brooklyn snagged Nina West for herself, which I thought possibly maybe hurt Vanjie's feelings right away. But as Brooklyn said, Nina's funny. She knows how to improv. Clearly Brooklyn needs some help, so she was smart. Snag Nina for herself. Vanjie, she put with Plastic Tiara, which I think made Vanjie very nervous. She was already saying, oh, is she even funny? I mean, seriously, this may have been the beginning of their breakup. Although I hear they're back together. Lesbians. Evie felt Brooklyn had been a little shady by teaming up the girls in her favor. But what was funny about that was that Brooklyn did that to herself with Nina. So even if Brooklyn was throwing shade, she threw it evenly, I'm just saying. The only flaw in Brooklyn's plan was that in teaming Evie with Akiria, it clearly made some statement that she felt Akiria was a small personality in the room. And this is an argument that I've had a couple of times now with my best Judy, Jeffrey Mason. You might remember Jeffrey because he's my friend, the artist who made Dot. I put Dot up so you could see her. I've got all his links down below. That said, he and I have been arguing over whether or not Akiria's personality is a winning personality. And I'd like to say, I've always thought it was, and I'm so glad that she had an opportunity this week to prove it. Of course, one of the girls that was totally in danger of being eclipsed by her partner was Sugar Cane. I'm so serious. I mean, everyone was worried for Suge, including Suge. And I think that's why she called Brooklyn a shady lady. Just saying. Back in the workroom, the girls got ready for their scenes. Nina was super excited for her scene, especially when she and Brooklyn Heights discussed switching the roles. Nina playing the nudist and Brooklyn playing the uptight neighbor. And I wish they had. I really wish they had stuck to that plan because it was hilarious. But Brooklyn was pooping in her panties. She was so scared. And Nina put the team first. She put her own desires aside and felt that it was better for the team if Brooklyn was happy with the role she was playing. So she let Brooklyn be the nudist and she was the uptight neighbor. It was very gracious of her. Well, until later when she started bitching about it. Thank God Ru arrived to check on the girls' progress. You know, I thought it was very telling that while she was talking to Taki and Suge, that Taki felt that it would be impossible for her to top herself. I know she was going for the innuendo, who wouldn't? But I think that she was also being truthful. Like, that's as good as she's going to do, and she doesn't need to do much more than that because it's better than most people. I feel that Ru was sensing that that's what she was saying, which is why she kept telling her, well, she'd like to see her at least try. Seriously, take a hint, Talkie. I'm just saying. The big question for Ru, where Plastique Tiara was concerned, was would she or won't she be using her accent again? I think we all know the answer to that. It's yes. Vanjie seemed to have matters well in hand. She said to Ru that her whole plan was to not start at a 10. To start at a lower number and ease up to 10. Which I thought bode well for Vanjie. I didn't say it went well, I just said it bode well. Evie seemed to be super humbled by her failed snatch game and at least was right in implying that this would be an easier scene for her to do because playing an actual person, i.e. a celebrity, is very hard. You got a lot of things to think of. But if you're just playing anybody, well, you just make it up as you go along. Nobody knows if you're right or wrong. Seriously. Ru seemed to be on the Jeffrey Mason bandwagon where Akira's personality was concerned. But Akira wasn't worried about it. Neither was I. And can I just take a moment to give RuPaul a cheers for telling Nina to step it up? Seriously, Nina's hilarious. I don't know why she's wallowing in some of these challenges, but she's kind of like getting lost in the shuffle along with Suge, which shouldn't be. So good for Ru. Kick her in the padded ass, Ru. Get her moving. That's all I'm saying. Cake. So then it was on to film LADP, starring Officer Shy and Jackson, God bless them, so cute, and Officer Fortune Feimster. Oh my God, I love Fortune Feimster so much. Nobody plays an angry clarinet like her. Seriously. The officer's first stop, back alley butt pads. Now this was a scene that went off the rails early, it went nowhere fast, and it was thoroughly enjoyable, mostly because of Talkie Ganache. Now, I'm just going to say that having the gift of the gab, which is what Talkie has, is wonderful. It's great, but it doesn't always mean that you play well with others. In an improv scene, you need to listen to other people, you need to pay attention, you need to let other people have their moments. And that's something that Talkie absolutely didn't do. Even during the critique, Fortune pointed out to Talkie that there was no give and take with her. It was just her barreling down the highway at full tilt boogie and knocking everybody left, right, and center. So, not the best performance, but that said, she also saved the scene. Poor Suge tried to keep up, but she got lost in the shadows and in that police car. Seriously, there's that fail on trying to stand out, letting somebody tuck you in a car in the background. Seriously, she was there and then she was gone. Poor thing. The officer's next stop was the trailer park, where there was some naked activity. Or was that naked? There was Brooklyn Heights spread out like cream cheese. And I just have to say, Brooklyn was hilarious. She went with it, she stuck with it, she had some great lines all on her own. She was totally into the part, and it showed. The officers worked well with her, they had a lot of fun. The only person that didn't seem to have fun was poor Nina, sweating it out in the trailer, saying that she was waiting for a cue word. Well, there's the fail in improv right away. Over-planning. You just say, this is who you are, this is who I am, you start, I'll come in. Don't wait for anything, which Nina didn't. She finally just went out there and joined Brooklyn and the officers for the scene. And when she did, I thought she was fine. She was certainly had the best lines of the day for me. Baby feeders and a parting of the Red Sea. And my favorite line was, I call her Paula and I keep her hidden. It's just a shame that Nina allowed herself to switch the roles so Brooklyn would feel better. That said, the scene went well, and good for everyone. Seriously. The officer's next stop was at the Kitty Liquor parking lot, where Vanjie and Plastique Tiara were having a proper good old-fashioned cat fight. Literally. They were dressed as cats, they were fighting as cats. I just have to say, right away, I think these two were set up to fail. This was a scene that couldn't have gone well with the best people in it, because it's stupid. Two grown people dressed as cats having an actual cat fight. I love that Vanjie complained about Plastique right away by saying that they had set up that if either of them went blank, they would just hump Cheyenne Jackson. And let me just say, I don't need to go blank to hump him. If he ever shows up within 10 feet of me, he had just better brace himself for it. Seriously. That said, I thought it was very funny that Vanjie critiqued Plastique, as well she should, because Vanjie very beautifully stuck to her guns and did not start the scene at 10. She started it at 11. Oh my God, there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go. They were screaming, they were crying. You know, the only fun things that happened in their scene were because of Plastique. That little splits that she did, Cheyenne Jackson called it a cooter slam. I would just like to point out that that was my drag queen name in high school. Then Plastique Tiara went and ruined it by using that accent of hers. Now, I hear what she's saying. She doesn't know that she's doing it, but it's funny to me that she always knows when to do it. But the final stop on the policeman's patrol was the best scene of the day. The twerking girls. This was absolutely brilliant. Clearly, A'keria and Yvie worked up a small story arc where they were both competing to twerk on the same corner, one old, one young, and inadvertently find out that they're mother and daughter. It's a tale as old as time. I had a tear in my eye as it was unfolding in front of me. I'm so serious. But what made this scene brilliant was A'keria. Not that Yvie sucked. She didn't suck at all. A'keria was brilliant. She let Yvie have her moments. Yvie had things to say that moved the storyline along. She had her time to do all that. A'keria didn't overshadow her, didn't talk over her. Did an excellent job. But then when A'keria went full tilt boogie, well, there was nobody to watch but A'keria. She was so funny. Running up and down the street, twerking while she was doing everything. And then getting hauled off the fence and where's my cane? Oh, I need something to eat. My sugar low. It's so funny. I could not stand it. And I hope that this finally rests any kind of question, Jeffrey Mason, that A'keria's got a small personality. Clearly she doesn't. She just chooses when to show it. I would like to point out that Kennedy Davenport is A'keria's drag mother or aunt or sister-in-law, I don't know what, but they're related in the drag community. And Kennedy's very low-key as well. I think this is the case with A'keria. Either way, she's awake now and making all sorts of noise. So here's to you, A'keria, I'm so serious. But that was only half the challenge. The girls still had to hit that runway. And before they did, they were in the workroom getting ready. Of course, Nina fretting, already regretting acquiescing to Brooke's demands or requests to play the nudist. She did sound a little bitter, but what I really think she was regretful, seriously. On the other hand, Brooklyn Heights seemed to wallow in her success, as well she should be. Not only did she conquer a personal demon, but she was hysterically funny. And I think one of the main reasons that their scene didn't go so badly. I'm just saying. Yay, Brooklyn. But the big scuttlebutt in the workroom was that Silky Ganache wasn't doing her face. Seriously. She was just going to slap on a 10-minute mug. Well, and why shouldn't she? The runway theme was face kini, so why not? Why not just worry about what they can see? Well, very quickly, we found out why not. Just saying. So, with their face kini fantasies, the queens hit the runway. First up, Silky Nutmeg Ganache. Now, I just would like to say that I wish that she had either had an extra set of legs, or if she was a fly, that she had wings. Maybe, you know, that capelet thing that she's worn a couple times, that style that she's put on. I like that. This would have been a perfect time for that capelet. It would have looked like wings. But I'm with Michelle Visage, that it looked like a cockroach with too few legs. I'm just saying. Thank God Michelle read Silky for not painting her face. I mean, she had a point. They're only going to see so much, and in Silky's defense, she knew she wasn't lip-syncing. She wasn't the worst one in the challenge this week. But seriously, this is not a time to get lazy. I'm just saying. Sugarcane was next, and where she failed in the challenge, she more than made up for it on this runway. I'm so serious. What a glamorous look. I mean, on one hand, I thought she looked like one of those toilet roll dolls that you put over the roll of toilet paper in the guest bathroom. But seriously, that look was exquisite. Well done for Suge. I'm so serious. And this was a good week for her to have a fantastic runway, because she did not have a fantastic challenge, I'm just saying. Brooklyn Heights continued to feel her oats with her steampunk zebra bikini. I thought that was absolutely stunning. She did a good job. But then again, she always does on the runway. One of my favorite looks this week was Nina's. I'm so serious. I totally saw Lee Bowery. I totally saw Clockwork Orange. But what I also saw was her proportionizing. I don't normally like a queen in pants, but this suit on Nina was very feminine, very art. My only other critique was I wish that her mustache had been a different color because I lost it on her face. If it had been black like her eyelashes, I think it would have been fine. But that said, it was a good week for her to have a good runway too. Seriously. Sweet beats! With all the drama of my week, I completely forgot to review Evie's runway, which of course I loved. Anybody who can take a sex accoutrement and turn it into the focal point of a costume is okay with me. Well, let's just say it. Anybody who can't take a sex accoutrement and make it a focal point of anything isn't really trying. Seriously. I liked Vanjie's look off the top. I agree with Michelle, it totally gave me Mexican wrestler costume. But once Michelle made mention of those blow-up people outside a car dealership, that is all I saw for the rest of the challenge. I'm so serious. So combine that with her general negative response for her performance in the challenge, it was no surprise that Vanjie was in the bottom two. Of course, you can't have a bottom two alone, and it takes two to tango. So I thought it was appropriate that Plastic Tiara was in the bottom two, especially after walking down that runway with that face bikini, which it wasn't. It was a face bra. At best, it was a face bra. I mean, seriously, Catwoman's mask had more fabric on it, I'm just saying. But either way, she looked gorgeous, as well she should, but it didn't help her here. She landed in the bottom along with Vanjie. I'm so serious. Akira stopped the runway. She stopped the challenge. She stopped the runway. This was brilliant. I like to call her look augmented gingerbread queen. But Ru just called it touched by an angel. I have to say, that made me laugh so hard as a euphemism for plastic surgery. Ooh, girl, she been touched by an angel. But that costume was stunning. Akira looked great, and with her fantastic performance in the main challenge, it was no surprise to anyone that she was this week's winner. One queen who really felt she dodged a bullet this week was Sugarcane. I'm so serious. That breath of air that she released when Ruth said she was safe, my ears popped. Did anyone else's? That was a big, it was like coming down an elevator. But it was Vanjie and Plastic Tiara in the bottom two. And I have to say, I think that with this song choice, which was Hood Boy by Fantasia Barrino, that this was Vanjie's song to win. This is her style of music. Her outfit lended itself to this. Her dancing style is very much this kind of song. I don't think that Plastic Tiara did a bad job. I just think that this was Vanjie's wheelhouse, and it helped her edge Plastique out just that little bit. So it was no surprise to me anyway that Vanjie shantaed, and it was poor Plastic Tiara who sashayed away. Bless her. Well, there you go. 7 queens left, finally, after last week's double Shantae. Who do you think is going to be in the bottom next? Well, if Suge still wallows in the middle, she's got issues. And Nina's doubting herself. If she lets that catch up to her, she could very well find herself safer in the bottom 3. I'm just saying, I hope it doesn't happen. But now that Akira is woken up, do you think any of the other queens are starting to be worried about her? I'm just saying. All we can do is tune into RuPaul's Drag Race next week to find out how it all plays out. And then after you've watched it. You come on back and see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, tell your friends about me. I got enough hugs for everyone, I'm just saying. Also, don't forget, if you want to support me, especially in my hour of need, I gotta get a new computer. Oh, sweet criminy. You can support me on Patreon. The links are down below. You can also buy my fabulous merchandise on redbubble.com. The links for that are down below as well. So, until next week, miss me! Mwah! Seriously, Jorge. I like to drink cake. We should drink cake more often. It's so delicious.